when I was a student here, and they had a speech on campus, somebody famous, you could go see. I had to go see it because I always like that kind of education and event. And I don't think it was full here. And it was Dr. Timothy Leary of LSD. 1968. Now I'll tell you, I've never used an illicit substance, but the laws against drugs are ridiculous. And I've never had a drink till I was 30. But a drug should be legal. It's not alcohol. So anyway, we're here. I love it. This campus has meant so much to me in my life, and I spoke about it so highly that 2 of my own children went there. So.
Thank you so much, Steve, for coming to our campus. How does it feel to be back?
I've actually come back a few times and just walked around to my old dorm or to see a concert that I knew was on campus at the time, and maybe I was nearby in Denver. So I always love coming back there. I have deep feelings. Driving in with my wife through the ski areas. Oh, what they did to change my life. Why did I go to Colorado? First time I ever left California. Flew on a plane with 2 friends. And we landed at night in Denver and drove to Boulder and got in a motel. We wanted to see the campus. We were seniors in high school. And the next morning we woke up, the TV said that it had snow. Open up the drapes. First time in my life I ever saw and experienced snow. My friends say that they threw me out the door in my underwear to the snow or something, but whatever it was so much fun I wouldn't apply to any other school. So it's very dear in my heart. Also computers. There wouldn't be an Apple without this campus. And the things in my life, the first year you're on your own, independent thinking, and I'm following computers for the first time, anywhere I can go. The bookstore has esoteric computer language manuals. I've never been near computer books in my life. And the introduction to computers was a graduate level course. Introduction to computers, graduate level. And I could take it because I was in engineering and I got an A+. And I wrote every program I could write. And I didn't realize I ran the class over a budget 5 times. More than out-of-state tuition, very scary. But the times learning to ski and learning to play bridge in the dorms and all the fun things we do around campus was great. But one thing that was very important to even our early Apple computers. I was in my class, and we had print statement. You print things out, and it comes out on a printer. And we'd write the print statement in our computer language, and it always had a 6 there. And I wondered what that 6, what would be if I changed it to a 5. So I tried a 5, and I got my printout on microfilm. Wow, like a library has microfilm. I thought, whoa, that's whatever, if you print to number 1, maybe it goes to printer 1, and 2 goes to printer 2. And boy, I incorporated that as the mini operating system in our successful Apple II computer. Our only successful product for the first 10 years of Apple, made the company huge. It was so much importance in being able to have all these little numbered slots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whatever you plugged into that slot, you can print to it or you can input from it. And it all came from a little course here in Colorado that I remember all those years, never forgot. Inspiration to write programs on my own that I thought of that really was more the motivation is more important than knowledge. I actually wound up teaching primary schools for 8 years of my life because it was another goal of mine, and I didn't allow any press around, so it's not well known. It was a public school, and it was less important what I taught, and more important if I could motivate the students to enjoy learning. So, but you can hit me with your questions now.
All right, let's go right in. Okay, so did you ever expect technology to be such a necessity in our everyday lives?
Wow, I kind of did. I was in a group of early hobbyists, and hobbyists don't translate to normal people in society. You might have some hobbyists that like to do their own, all their own setups on their automobiles or whatever. It was a little thing, but we believed that these computers gave any human being a little more power. And it was very little. It wasn't like your whole life changes. You could quickly look up movies and order a restaurant and have things delivered and get an Uber car. None of that stuff was in our minds. Having a music in a computer, enough memory to play a song, not even thinking of it. But we knew that they would increase the abilities of people. And especially when we started Apple, Steve Jobs and I talked about this a bit, it wasn't important that it was a computer. To we geeks, wow, just having a computer was enough. But this computer was going to do valuable things for people, even though it was a little expensive to buy a typewriter for $2,000 back in the day when it cost $100. And it was a little expensive to store your recipes on it when everybody had little index cards at home. But we had some ideas that they were going to help people, and when you invent something like a computer and it's a brand new platform, other people, millions of people maybe, but hundreds of thousands, that have bright minds going to think, oh, here's something I could add to this computer and plug it in. Here's something I could write a program in. And people often ask me, what's the greatest thing that Apple ever created? You think, what's the greatest invention? I used to kind of say the iPhone, but now I say it's the App Store. When that App Store came around, it changed the way I live my life much more than just the products themselves.
So it changed the way you lived your life. How do you manage it in your own life?
How do I manage my life, my apps and my phones? I pretty much kind of get as much as I can possibly handle and a little bit more. I'm not really structured and everything has these many minutes in the day. It's whatever's interesting. I always like fun things. That's the reason I was here, and the sorts of things I did on campus that year, you played pranks. I just learned, wow, when you're on your own, you can really have a lot of enjoyment in life. Life, you have to have the necessities of life. That's important. But it's nice to have a little bit of entertainment too. I went to the first concert of my life as a student here, you know? I mean, these are important things. So I'm more like the artistic type that isn't so managed and structured, and I'm a little bit, I'll go any direction and sometimes get myself always way behind on time for things. So, but as far as the phone, I use standard apps that help me out. And ones that I don't have time for, a lot of the social media, believe it or not, I don't have time to do it fully, so I just do it bits and pieces all day long. I'm on the computer. That's it. That's my life. I don't know. Yeah, it's always, oh gosh, will I have enough time to get to my email? So essentially, I say I'm a victim of it, you know, or sometimes you say there's addicts to this computer stuff, and I don't think I'm an addict to it. Any more than all of us. Well, what if our electricity system got sabotaged by cyber hackers and we lost all our electricity for a week? Couldn't charge your computers, your phones, any of it. Totally, how would you live? It's like, my gosh, we almost have to go. What if it was forever? You'd have to go back to the caveman times, the pre-fossil fuel days. We lost all our electricity. But I was glad to grow up as an engineer, because we engineers were going to make devices that made life nicer. And all I wanted was a person in a home, a normal, average Joe. I'm not thinking political and worldwide and all these great things. Just in a home, I want a nice life. And engineers that build the products that give me a television set was kind of amazing when I was a child. So anyway, that's what I perceive.
Speaking of social interactions, how would you say technology has changed social interaction in general?
A lot of people complain that, oh my gosh, everybody's kind of looking at their devices and they're not participating with the people that are around them. Well, when Steve Jobs and I started the company, we discussed. We had discussions. He wasn't so much into the social ramifications of things. Education was so important to me. I wanted to donate our very first Apple I computer, #1, to a woman who took them into elementary schools to show kids what computers were. And I had stumbled on that knowledge when I was young in elementary school, when we had nothing like a computer. And I tried to talk to Steve for 2 hours into giving her the first one. He made me buy it for $300 to give it to her. But we discussed that we looked at handicapped people like the blind, and we wanted to make the blind people equal to others in the world. And we look back now and we were successful. Everybody's looking down their machines, totally oblivious to everything. I did, however, decide when I was young, technology advances, we study the atoms, you should study scientific things. I grew up a science and a mathematician, and so I thought that way. Not everyone does, and not everyone should. But, so we grow up and we want to study and learn these things, and from studying the atom, we got the atomic bomb. And that was the fear when I was, a child. The atomic bomb was much worse than terrorism today. You'd walk home from school, you'd be in elementary school, you'd walk home, and on every single corner there were sirens that were mounted that would go off occasionally for tests to warn you that the bomb was coming. So what was the question?